Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 10 of Pilu. We are your hosts, Paleki from Angel Messages by Paleki,
Louise Farr from Your Healing Journey.
and welcome, welcome, welcome. As we mentioned, we are in episode number 10. So thank you so much for sticking with us this far, as it's something we're passionate about doing, and we are loving that you guys are still loving watching and sharing the podcast as well, and we are definitely appreciating your comments. So we are going to jump right in. So how was your week, Miss Lou?
Good. Yeah, my week again, another week that went by fast.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about creativity last week,
Yep.
and I finished my first 4 foot by five
Oh
foot.
yes, it's beautiful. Yes. Yay.
It's done. I've sprayed the protection on
Mhm.
it and signed it, and I'm not touching it
No,
ever.
and that's good. That's good. It's sometimes, like I said, you can overwork paintings. You and I
Mm,
have discussed that before, and I think art people will know that. Or even writing stuff, you can overwork it to the point where you're like, you're going to ruin it. Leave it alone. Step away from it.
yes,
And I think
exactly.
that also borders a little bit on that perfectionist nature. That we have, that we go, I can make it better. It can be better. And I always like to look at that stuff now for me, that I keep going, why does it need to be better for me? Why can't I just accept it as it is?
I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, what did you say? It could be better. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's good. It's good enough.
Oh yeah, no, mine is definitely like because I get to a point where now I have the thing where I go GE, which is good enough. So I, like, if I'm doing something or I'm like half-assing something, I go, I don't feel like doing this today. I'm gonna honor it GE, and I'm like, okay, move on to the next thing. Like, so
Excellent. Oh, I like that.
yeah, it's my new thing. It's one of my new mantras that I put in the world. But yes, but a lot of people did resonate with the one yesterday on creativity. A lot of people did like that one. So we are, again, every week we're going to pick different topics, guys, that we're going to be working with. And this one is going to be a little more kind of back to the shop talk kind of thing, sort of back with the
Mm,
businesses and that. So this week we were thinking that we would really like to have more of a discussion. And I have mentioned this on my personal page in the past about sort of your discernment and trusting your own intuition when it comes to working with healers, and also how sometimes healers themselves might need to be a little bit accountable for their actions as well, or what they're doing.
yes, I agree 100%. There's a group that I facilitate called, what is it called? Right Cloak Collective.
Yes.
And we have a group of women that we're meeting for the next 13 moons. And we were talking about that it's important to have integrity in the work that you do and to bring, some knowledge. And if the knowledge is not there, there's enough of us out there that we can, pick them and say, can you, help me with certain things? I might talk to P about it. I might talk to one of my other friends, and just to get some clarity, because I don't have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I work, intuitively, and that's what I tell people is to
Mm-hmm.
use your gut feeling, to use discernment, to use your intuition, because we all have it. We're all born with intuition. So P, you had an
Well, I think
experience
there's
this
a.
week.
Well, I'll talk about that one after, but I just want to
Yeah.
jump back on what you were saying quick. I think there is that very fine line, though, because there's that thing where we are taught, handle it yourself, trust yourself, you can deal with it yourself. And it's almost perceived as though it is a weakness to ask other people for help, like going to other people. So we'll often go, oh, I'll go to a healer then because, they have more knowledge, or I'll go to this person or a reader or whatever it happens to be. And there's a bit of a disconnect where people tend to either go, I'm not going to ask, or they go, well, obviously I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to give all of my power to this person. I'm going to
Right.
give all of my abilities. So there's that fine line in there, like Louise is saying, where it is ask for help, but still honor your intuition, that no matter what you hear, you can either apply that to your life and go, yep, that makes sense to me. Or, it can be one of those where you go, yep, that's going to work, or no, it's not going to work. There's a lot in there, but I find in our society, especially where we are, how do I word this? For many people, just based on the lives that we live, we're almost diminished, or we forget about our intuition. And you and
Hmm.
I have discussed this before, Lou. Like, you forget your universal power, where you come from, your spirit sort of strength. And we're kind of made to believe that other people in authority, so whether it's, politicians, police, like anything like that, that we have to pull our energy back because they know better than we do, or we have to lock our truth kind of thing like that. And it's not saying that these people are, doing anything negative. It's not that case at all. But it's that for many of us, including doctors, like, and I know I did it when I, last year when I had to go to the emergency room, and I allowed myself to have that human fear. I was like, okay, the doctors know, the doctors know. But in that case with me, the doctor was like, I can't see anything wrong, go away. The one doctor that I dealt with. And when I was finally back home and I calmed down out of that energy, I was like, something is definitely wrong with my system. So I listened to myself and went to another doctor. And I was like, I'm going to go somewhere else kind of thing like that. And I think that's where it's very important is to, again, like Lou was saying, you can ask for help, but you don't have to also listen to something if it doesn't feel right in your gut, like you guys were just doing for your teaching this week.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And there was a quote that was shared from a friend of mine this morning, and this is something that I've been saying to people that have come to my practice for the last 10 years. A healer is not someone that you go to for healing. A healer is someone that triggers within you your own ability to heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So me as a shamanic practitioner, a Reiki practitioner, I love to share and teach my knowledge of these two modalities, and in hope that it resonates with the people that listens.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, there's other modalities out there. But the other aspect of doing this type of work that we do is it's important to ask somebody they give you permission to work on this. When they come to you, when they come to me, I still ask them, do you give me permission to do this work with you? Because it's like there's one of my teachers that shared this with us that said, people were saying, we're going to send you healing, we're going to send you all this stuff, and she responded, I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for healing.
Mm-hmm.
I asked that you keep me in your thoughts, that you keep me in the positive thoughts and stuff. I'll decide who will heal and who's going to offer, assistance and stuff. So they were overwhelmed by everybody saying, well, I'm going to send you this and I'm going to send you that. And I see that on Facebook all the time, people saying that, well, we're going to send you Reiki. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to send Reiki. I don't know if we got permission from this individual to send Reiki. So people are losing, and that comes from a place of ego, because a lot of people out there, and I'm gonna hit hard here. A lot of people out there think when they become Reiki masters and teachers and shamanic practitioners, that they have the right to say, well, I can heal you. I'm going to heal you.
Yeah.
Well, you're taking away their sovereignty. They're taking their way of their choice in the matter. Some people want to stay in their shit, and that's perfectly fine. Who are we to judge? We don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
So it's important to find a practitioner out there that comes from integrity, that comes from a place of, yes, I'm here for you, but you have the responsibility to, and you're responsible for your own well-being, your own wholeness.
Yeah.
I'll be there as a guide. I'll be there as a foundation,
like
facilitator, and you do that every single day with your clients, P. You help them connect with their loved ones.
Yeah. But what's very important, if you've ever had a reading with me, you'll know before we start in any reading, public talks, anything, I always say I need to know that I have your permission. So that's sort of what Lou's talking about, that active participation. And I think that's what's really important is a lot of us, when we get overwhelmed or a fear pattern, and like I said, I really include myself in that, when you go into your human moments, we tend to give other people our power, that we go fix it, kind of thing. And depending on the person receiving that energy, what you receive back, you might go, oh, that's not what I thought you were going to do at all. That was like completely opposite. And I mean, the reason that sort of has been tinkering for me is I had stuff happen, and I'm not going to divulge client stuff, but
no,
I know this person wouldn't mind me addressing it because it was important for their healing as well. But a particular client had lost a family member, and went to another person or a healer, an osteopath in this case, where they were trying to get healing to work through this loss. And the person basically told them that their grieving their loved one was keeping their loved one stuck in like a purgatory, and that they weren't able to move on. And so anyway, this devastated this person. This client got very, very upset by this information. And I think it was one of those things that, and I've said this for years, and if you followed my page, you'll know I post up about this. It's one of my very picky things. There is a certain type of, well, not just ethics, but I think compassion that needs to be involved when you're helping other people with something like working through tragedy, like either shamanic practitioner, whatever it happens to be, whatever modality you're helping with, that you have to be a little bit particular that you're working where the person needs to be. And in this case, that particular healer was not helping that person. They were involving their personal ego-driven opinion on the case of like, well, if I basically say this or scare them into it, they'll suck it up and deal. So this poor person ended up being stuck for a while, believing that their grief. So they were not only trying to not upset their loved one, but they were denying their grieving. They were not letting themselves grieve in a good way. And if they did grieve, they went into an absolute terrible shame spiral, which was keeping the loved one from not coming through because they didn't want to keep upsetting them. So like it was one of these things. And that's to me what gets a little bit frustrating with this. And I put a post up on my page. It's an interesting show for anybody who wants to watch on Netflix. It's about death and dying in the afterlife. So it's a new one that just came out, but I was watching and there is one episode in there, like I think it's episode 2 and 3. It's those two specifically are focused on mediums, and I'll reserve my opinion for other times on what I saw with some of the stuff that I saw, but there was one reader in particular that did a reading and did not connect for the gentleman at all, like did not link for him at all. And instead of going, oh, the reading didn't connect, he said, oh, well, it's obviously this guy's fault. He's not ready to talk to his dad, or he doesn't want to connect to the dad, and it really frustrated me because it was very obvious the reader did not know what they were doing or didn't connect, but then they put it off onto the person. And they were like, well, you weren't ready. And there are cases, yes, when a reading cannot connect if somebody's going through a lot of grief, but normally in a case like that, it's normally addressed with them. Like, and especially if you're looking to connect to somebody and you come for a reading with me, I'll go, oh, you know what, we're struggling with it because they're worrying about upsetting you, but that also is going to mean this. And this is the reason. And then most of the time we can figure out where the block is, what the block is, how to work through it. Because the whole point of the reader is to help you get that connection. But again, in this case, the guy took it very personally. If you watch that documentary, you know, he was upset by the fact his dad wasn't coming. And that to me is kind of like a heartbreaking thing. And you and I have discussed this before, that I don't know if people are necessarily aware that they're doing it. And again, I can't speak of this healer. I've never met him in my life. I just saw what I saw. But it was kind of one of those things like everything was completely wrong. And then instead of going, oh, that didn't connect, it was like, well, it's this man's fault.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. And then like the same thing with this other person. It's like this particular client this week. Well, it's your fault. You're keeping your loved one stuck. And there's a thing that really, I don't want to say annoys because it pertains to anger, but in this case, it does annoy because I take what I do very seriously. And I know you and I, Lou, have had this discussion many times where it's frustrating to see other people, but you also cannot put yourself in a place of policing other healers, other community stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and we don't have that, right? We don't have.
We don't need to. Yeah.
No.
But unfortunately, too, for healing work, there's no governing body.
No, there isn't.
You know, so anybody can tack up a shingle and go, hey, this is the work I'm doing. And yes. I think, like, again, it's not to trash people. That's not why Lou and I are doing this, but it's something that's important is we explain to people that you are a part of the healing. You were going to somebody who happens to do healing work, but you were a part of the healing. And that's why I tell people, like, even at the end of readings, I'll always say, oh, well, thank you very much, but also make sure you thank your family. You know, they did all the hard work. I'm just a part of it. You know, also thank the person for coming in the room. Thank you for wanting to connect and wanting to open up your energies to link. You know, there's this thing, and there are some that you will see. And again, you know what? It's public. You can watch it yourself on Netflix. So I'm not divulging anything that you couldn't see yourself. There are certain ones that you may see healers on there that I'm like, all right, this is a little more ego-driven than potentially it could be. You know,
Mhm.
and again, I don't want to trash people, but I think it's important because it's, you know, you can go to a healer or a reader or anything, and they might not gel with you, or they just might not be good, and that is completely fine. But what's heartbreaking for me is how many people take not connected reading or a healing that they don't feel links in the right way for them as their personal failure,
Right.
you know, rather than
Yeah.
going, oh, it just didn't connect, something didn't work. You know, like I can have a book that I love, you know, and I'll go, Lou, read this, and you go, yeah, okay, yeah, you know, like it speaks to me because something in that book works for me, but it's, excuse me, not for you, and like vice versa. You might have something that I go, couldn't even get through chapter one. You know, and
Exactly.
that's what's important for people to realize when it comes to your healing work. It's your intuition that is the main thing. And you know that's why it's always important, because I tell people I love doing readings as a way to show you that death and dying are not the end, but it's not the only way for you to be able to connect and communicate with your loved ones,
Exactly.
you know.
And I mean, I do shamanic work where
Mhm.
I work with my compassionate allies in the
Yeah,
lower world and upper world,
yeah.
and I teach it also. And a lot of people have connected with their loved
Hmm.
ones
Hmm.
through these compassionate allies.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
you also teach people meditations that they can go do at home. You know, like
yes,
this is your journey, you know, work on it, get your visions, get your stuff, you know, kind of thing.
yes.
And I think that's where it becomes very important, is because for me, like I said, the whole thing, and I haven't really told people many details about my experience at the hospital when I last year when I had to go to the emergency room, but it was not pleasant. The doctor, the one doctor I dealt with in particular, was just extremely rude and dismissive, just a very, very, very ignorant person. And, you know, and I went and I was like, I did not want to go back. If I got sick again, I was basically like, if something happens, and I mean, and this was still the time my speech was being affected, I couldn't stand
Hmm.
up straight. I was like, you know what, if something happens again, never mind, I'm not going back to the hospital. Like it was just a very unpleasant experience. And then it was you who was like, well, go to your naturopath, like go to, you know, and I was like,
Yep.
okay, you know, I really should. So I ended up going, and this naturopath is the one who put all the pieces together for me, you know, and it's a shout out to Fredericton Naturopathic Clinic with Dr. Judah. He's lovely. Go to him if you're looking for a naturopathic doctor, or his lovely wife, Carissa.
Carissa.
He was the one that put it together. And then I took that back to the traditional doctors, and they're like, oh, you do have something actually going on. And now they're still sending me for tests. I just got like my chest CAT scan last week and everything. But that's the whole point that we're trying to say, you know. I could have hit that moment where I chose to give up my power to that doctor and go, well, I guess I just better suck everything up. But my intuition and my soul was going, I don't agree with this. It's not right. Something's wrong. I'm going to go find somebody else. And it's the same thing with like that you know, that I wanted to
Yeah.
express to that client. You know, you should never leave any sort of a healing or a reading devastated.
No,
If that is the
exactly.
case, something went wrong in your reading in some capacity, kind of thing like that,
Yes.
you know. And
Yes.
again, it's not to say that you won't be emotionally disrupted or you might not be upset about something, but you should never leave with the belief that your actions are punishing your dead loved ones, or that, you know, your actions are causing abuse in your life, or that you were being punished for something you're doing. Like that should never be it. And if there is a block in your life, a discerning healer is really going to go out of their way to make sure that you know what steps you can take to work and heal that.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I've experienced, people coming to me when they were able to come to see me. Well, I experienced something this week, which I'll share. I was somebody recommended a person to
Mm-hmm.
contact me to get some shamanic healing. And so I reached out, they did contact me, and I reached out to them, and I stated due to COVID that I'm not seeing people in person,
Mm-hmm.
but I am open to have a video chat to discuss what's happening and offer you, the ceremonies that I can offer
Yeah.
you. They responded that they didn't believe in COVID and that I should be ashamed of myself to call
Mm-hmm.
myself a shaman for not seeing people. I should be seeing people in person. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I was just
Mm-hmm.
totally, they were just totally disappointed. And I understand they were disappointed, but to, how do you say the word, admonish me,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to just degrade me
To
and
shame
stuff,
you in
that
that. Yeah.
shame.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't work with bullies. And
And
that's how I
that's what
felt.
people forget too, is as the healer, we can pick to work with you as well.
Yes.
Like if you want to be mean, I'm like, I don't have to get you into my house. I don't have to have you in my sacred space. Like, no, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And again, we're not opening this up onto a do and don't about COVID. You know what I
No,
mean?
no.
Like I'm one of those people. I believe that we create our realities, but
Yes.
there are physical symptoms that we create as part of our lessons.
Yeah.
For
And
me,
for
and
me,
I'm
and
like,
for me, this is important. I mean, I have not seen anybody in person,
yeah,
and I've done hundreds of one-on-one sessions
yeah,
online
yeah,
since COVID started. So, and I've been teaching. I've been
hmm
teaching my shamanic work and doing the gatherings, the drum circle gatherings, and doing the Red Cloak
hmm
Collective, and it's working very well. I mean, we all
yeah,
miss each other, but we know that this is what is happening at this moment. Therefore, we're going
hmm
to, accommodate
yeah.
people.
But I think too, without even needing to justify, and this is something too, I love the healing work that I do, but I'll say this to people, because I've had people before too that'll, years ago, it hasn't happened thankfully in a while because I put a stop to that right away. But I would have people angrily write me when I couldn't get them in for a space. And they would go, but I've lost this person. I need to speak to them. And I'd have to kind of remind them, and I'd go, yes, but so are the thousands of other people that are also messaging. They've also lost family members. They've also lost people that they care for. They are also grieving and going through trauma, and their loss is no less significant than yours.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's sometimes when people are going through stuff, and whether or not you do or don't believe in COVID, the fact of the matter is you do, Lou, and your spirit has that right to go, this is my truth. I don't want that energy in my space regardless.
No, exactly.
This is what I'm able to offer you. And I mean, I've done the same with people. I've had a few here and there in person, and then we always go back to orange or something, or we're orange
In
again. We're
orange
back
right
in.
now.
So
Yeah.
for me, I just kind of cracked the whip and I said, no, I said, I'm sorry, guys, because I have too many people come from all around the province. And I was like, it's too much of a risk. I look after young family. And I said, these are the options. Take it or leave it. Get your
Yeah.
reading done online or cancel your session and go find somebody else who'll try to do one for you in person.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think that's what's important about it is, when you're going to healer as well, you also want your healer to be comfortable. You don't want them to be awkward and out of place and, kind of thing like that, and in a case like this, and again, we're not creating the person, but it's obviously they were projecting a lot of anger into a victim pattern and they needed to project it out somewhere. So, I always say in cases like that now, because I'll tell Lou when I get a nasty email, I'll call her and go, girl, but it's one of those, and again, that bounce off, like we say, we bounce with each other in that, but it's one of those things that I think is important for people to understand that in order for healings to work, you have to bring your energy in. That is 100%. You got to bring
Mm-hmm.
your stuff in. But if your energy is not going to gel with the healer, the reader, whatever it is, the session just might not connect. It might not work. You might not get that. That's okay. And that's
Yep.
completely fine. And in the case for me, if we do a reading that I know has not connected, like for whatever the reason, you do not pay for your session. That's always been my policy from day number one. If it doesn't connect properly to your level of quality, expectation, your level of expectation, then I go, yep, you don't pay for your session. Don't worry about that. That's always
Mm-hmm.
kind of been one of my things. But I think that's really important because, when, again, this is also about that power thing, where the healer themselves are allowed to stand in their power and go, no. And you can stand in your power and go, no. That's what I'm talking about when we said that fine line. When you
Yeah.
go, there's got to be a respect on both ends and openness on your end and openness on the healer's end, but also not so much to the point that you're giving your power to the healer or expecting them to fix your life.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've had people in the past. I've had people in the past where I said, after I don't know, 4 or 5 sessions,
Mm-hmm.
it's not resonating. You're coming back to
Yeah.
me with the same complaint, the same
Yeah.
story. Nothing's shifted. Maybe another practitioner
Yeah.
will help you move forward in this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that because my practice since the beginning I started this, I stated this, that when you come through my door, you're here to learn
Yeah.
about that inner healer within you, with what
Mm-hmm.
I'm sharing with you.
Yeah.
I hope I don't see you again.
Yeah.
I don't want it to become a crippling thing.
Yeah. Crutch for you. Yeah.
I don't want to be a crutch for somebody, because I don't want somebody else to be my crutch.
Mhm.
I want to learn. And if it's not now, it'll be later. A lot of people want quick fixes. They want to happen
Mhm.
now. And you know what? Because of the layers and layers of stuff that's happened in your life from childhood or from birth, it's going to take years
Yeah.
to remove. I'm sorry, but it will.
Mhm.
And we have to be patient.
But I mean, you have
And
to think too, though, that when unfortunately a lot of medicine nowadays, traditional, more Western style medicine, it is a very quick fix. Take this pill, like, you know, kind of thing. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, definitely take your medications in conjunction with healers. Like, don't dismiss doctors. Like, that's what
no,
I said. I didn't look at
no.
this doctor and was like, I'm done with doctors. Like, screw doctors. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to a doctor that gels with me. And then he gave me the information that I took back to traditional doctors. So then they suddenly went, oh, okay, this is actually this. Let's look into this. And then they were able to, you know, figure out my autoimmune disease that nobody had known for years was there, kind of thing like that, which again, learning experience for me, but it was something that needed to be done. But there's a lot of it where it's like, okay, well, no, go away, or this, or take this pill, or do this kind of thing. And a lot of people are expecting that same type of healing when it comes to grieving or working through spiritual traumas or, you know, past issues or whatever. And in a case like this, like Lou's saying, it's almost like an onion. We go, you know, heal a bit, go do something else, come back, you'll probably find new issues have arisen that you need to work through, you know, and that's where it becomes important, because I have, unfortunately, and this is again that discerning nature with the readers, I have met people that genuinely would come to my house every week if I would let them. If I gave them permission, they would have a paid reading every week. And so that's why even in the beginning, I've always had a stipulation. Originally, it used to be a 6-month marker. You have to wait 6 months between readings, so enough actually changed and you had time to work on stuff. But now, because it's just so busy, my stipulation now is you can only have a reading a year if you're lucky to get in for one.
Yeah.
So
Oh, sorry. Go
no,
finish.
go.
Finish. I had someone approach me about mentoring them, like once every couple of weeks and stuff. And I never thought of that in the past. And so I'm open to that. I was quite excited after I finished having the conversation with them. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, that would be nice, you know, and we can do it online. And once every couple of weeks, do some journeying, you know, I'll guide them with the journeys and things like that. But I know that person will do the work.
Yeah.
They're going to
But
work
also
towards.
too, they asked you again to help you facilitate their journey. Like, I'm not mean like lead it, but like
No.
help them help themselves kind of thing.
Yes.
That's completely different to what we're talking about. To
Right.
going, Louise, do a healing for me every single week, and you get the messages for me, and like because again, and there is a vulnerability there, and unfortunately, and Lou knows me. This is one of my pet peeves. There are unfortunately healers that will take advantage of that. They genuinely will. They'll be like, come back 6 times. I'll give you so many healings or whatever, and there are honestly some people, and I hate to say it, and again, not, it is what it is, and every situation is its own, where some people, like Lou said, they like the drama.
Yeah. They like to play the victim.
That's okay, but it's not for me to do. And my whole thing, again, like I said to Lou, is I love this because I heard it this week, actually, on that documentary, where the lady was like, the medium's there to help you open the door, but it's your job to walk through the door.
Yes.
And same applies to any healer.
Yes.
And I really love that as a way to go, with my readings where I'm talking to the dead, helping you understand that death is not the end, helping you. I also want you to know that you can get your own validations, that's what I love teaching people, is you have the same skill set or ability. It's just mine's very, very fine tuned because I've used it for so long.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there's this important thing. But what worries me is you'll see a healer in a case like this woman, where they this healer in particular who told this client that she believed this client was getting their child stuck. That to me is somebody who's not doing it with an ethical thing, because they either want to control your healing, or they're going to want you to keep repeating the healing, or they'll be like, I'll work you through that. And that's where you have to be very careful, guys, when it does come to healing work. If somebody's trying to take it away from you or tell you how to do it, be a little bit careful, because even if you ever have a reading with me, we'll give you suggestions. We'll go heal this, work on this, but it's your choice. If you choose to finish the reading and go, I don't want to do that, we go, okay, Like, take the best, leave the rest. That's, I always say.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that I think people do need to be a little bit aware of, is just because somebody says healer, just like with the doctor. You can have a doctor that's amazing. And I've had some traditional doctors that are like nicest people in the world. I go, love them. And then like when I had issues with my eyes a few years ago, that one eye doctor was like, you have tattoos. Like, and it was like a line drawn in the sand, and her and I went toe to toe for a while there until we finally chilled our energies. But that's what I mean. But then I've had other doctors that are the most compassionate, loving people, and people have a fear of going to traditional doctors or healers, and that's why I tell people, I'm like, therapy is a beautiful modality. Like, I 100%, like, if you're grieving or you're going through a trauma or something, or working through something, definitely go and get a shamanic treatment. But if you need, also go to a therapist or a counselor in that regard.
Yes.
But maybe find one that's open.
Yes.
Just because they have a certificate on the wall doesn't mean they might gel with you or work with you. And there's a lot of people that will force themselves to fit with the healer.
Yes.
And I think that's important for people to understand again, and to remember, it's your healing. You get to pick the person who helps you facilitate that healing. And if you come across somebody and go, I don't like you, don't like them. You don't have to. Whatever the reason is, you don't have to have an explanation or justification. You can literally just say, boop, move on to the next thing, but we're not told that, because we're told, the doctor knows better. The doctor went to school. You haven't been to school. Right. You know what I mean? The healer knows what they're doing. They've done this, the reader knows this kind of thing like that. And that documentary, again, like, you can check it out for yourself. Now, I've heard the 2 and 3 were the weird episodes, because the first one was good. And then I've heard the other ones, which I'll watch today, are better as well. So if you do watch the documentary and you're not gelling with 2 or 3, I guess people said maybe skip over to the next one. But what was important there is, there's a lot of people, if you watch it, you'll see that they're giving up their power. And that is something to pay attention to. That's something that's very, very, very important, because you don't want to give somebody else your power, but you also don't want to go in there so victimized that you don't believe you can't heal yourself either.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that's what's very important, like the takeaway we really want people to get this week, kind of thing like that. And again, the same thing like that client who emailed you with the COVID and that, there are plenty of other healers that will go, sure, come to my house. Why not? Like, don't believe in it either. And again, if you want to truly believe in like the non-physical reality, everything is creation, everything is illusionary, then no, it doesn't exist in that context. No sickness exists, from that illusionary perspective. But as humans, we do use sicknesses and physical ailments as part of our lessons.
Right.
So, yes, they are energetic in nature, but they are still presenting themselves, which is the whole point of why we come into human bodies. We can only get sick as humans. We can only have, kind of thing like that. And where you and I have discussed this too, Lou, when it comes to COVID, I'm not doing it out of a sense of fear, not having people in my house. I'm doing it out of a sense of respect, that I go, but if I potentially am asymptomatic and not realizing, I have family members that have immunocompromised systems. I have immunocompromised system, I don't inadvertently want to bring somebody into my house who may get sick because they're sitting on a couch with somebody else that was potentially infected with COVID So for me, it was more like a respect thing for everyone, where I was like, it's too many people to monitor, too much stuff to monitor, and it's just easy back and forth kind of thing. And a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to healing work, you can do it by distance.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I've been doing some shamanic work by distance. The Reiki work, I can do distance Reiki. There's no problem there. And like I said, I've been doing my drum journeying circle. It's going really well. I mean, I do miss having the one-on-one with people, but I'm having one-on-one online. And when the connection works, electronics works. We were having a little bit of a problem this morning connecting, but we just have to be patient, just like this pandemic. It's all about patience and taking a breath and realizing that, we're in this together, but at the same time, we're experiencing it differently.
Yeah, we're all learning our individual part from this greater collective lesson, and that's what's very important with that.
Yeah, it's really important. And then that's what I put down on my Facebook today, that, connect to me, like send me an email. We'll do video chat. You know, there was a client that was in town. They usually work in Winnipeg, but they were in town, so we connected and it was a chat. You know,
Mhm.
it wasn't about a paying session or everything or
Mhm.
anything like that. Just reconnecting with the
Yep.
person because I hadn't reconnected with them in a couple of months, and I ended up doing a reading some oracle cards for the person, and it helped them at that time.
Mhm.
And then they sort of connected back again, going, well, I'm still stuck. And I empowered them by
Mhm.
saying,
Yep.
you have this.
Yeah.
You know this, you connected with the reading and everything. So just take
Mhm.
time to breathe. Just
Yeah.
take time to center yourself. We all go through those panic
Yeah.
times. I do, anxious times. And
Mhm.
we have a son in Sweden that has no rules and nothing about this stuff, and
Yeah.
he's very conscientious about it. But also the other thing is he hasn't had a job since April, since this
Yeah.
all started, and he's been applying for work.
Yeah.
And as a mother, it breaks my heart. I wish I
Mhm.
could just,
Yeah. Fix everything. Yeah.
like, how did you say that? Like, Scotty, beam me up.
Oh
Just
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
beam
Yeah.
me to Malmo, Sweden, so I
Yeah.
can be with him. But we do talk to each other once a week.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for electronics, even
Yeah.
though I poo-poo it,
Yeah.
sometimes I can connect to our son. I
But
can
I
connect.
think it's important too, like not only family connection, but with the advent of technology like we have, which I think a lot of people have seen because of COVID, we now have an availability to reach so much more than we ever could before. We can find other healers that we never may have come across before. We can come
Exactly.
across teachings or courses and I definitely tell people, I go look into everything, best way to tell somebody's a good reader, healer, course, whatever it is, look for reviews online.
Oh,
Make sure you look up reviews, because if people are good, they're going to go love this person. But also make sure that you are aware to leave some time in between, because I know I'll speak to some clients, and I know it's because where I'm dealing with death and dying, people want to really reconnect, but they'll be like, I've been to like 6 readers before you while I was waiting, and I'm like, that's a lot. It's really a lot. Be careful with it.
yeah.
And again, there's that beautiful thing where it's lovely to help, but be careful that you're not then causing it to be a hindrance, where you're becoming so dependent on it, kind of thing, that you're not allowing yourself to look for other intuitive signs, or like in a case like, because where I know Lou as well, I could be the type of person where I'm like, Lou, I'm coming out to your house every week. Coming, like, we're gonna get heal me every week, kind of thing. And it's that thing where I know that I can trust Lou enough to go, no, you don't need it every week, go away, kind of thing. And that's what you really want to look for in a healer that you're gonna go to or look at, kind of thing like that. Is you're gonna want somebody that's gonna be discerning with their character, but also in a way that's able to help you, that you can then empower yourself and take the tools that you received, to be able to go from it. And that's what we're trying to say, where it comes down to stuff where you can get into fear or get into patterns. Make sure that it's your fear that you're working through, and
Yes.
not fear that's been projected onto you by the healer, or
Yes.
shame that's been projected onto you. Because remember, healers are human. So
Yep.
we're also working through our stuff, and I tried the best I can. I tell people, I fingers crossed that I do it in the best of my ability, but I do try to remain very discerning when I'm doing a reading, very neutral, non-judgmental, that I go, this is your information, this is how you receive it, kind of thing. But not everybody out there is necessarily doing that. So,
No.
be very, very aware. I don't want to say careful, because you don't want to be scared of healing,
No.
but be aware of what you're doing while you're healing, and understand that, because unfortunately we do not have a governing body, anybody can go, oh, I've done a course for a weekend, I'm now setting up shop, and here we go. And you want to make sure, because again, the quickest way to tell somebody is, if a person tells you that you're wrong and it feels wrong to you, pay attention to you.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Use your senses. If it doesn't sound right,
mhm.
if you're hearing it, if it doesn't feel right within you,
Yep.
like, listen to that. Your body is your best friend. Your
Yep.
emotions, your senses are your best friend. So
Mhm.
just just be aware.
But I
Just
mean,
be
and maybe
aware.
this is a topic we can use for next week then, because I think we're keep watching the time here.
Hmm.
But with the thing, and this is something where a lot of people go, I used to be very intuitive, then I lost it.
Right.
You know, I used to be very open, and that is actually a very, very genuine thing for many people,
Hmm.
where we are told, like, or we experience life things, or we go through traumas or issues that do actually dull down our senses, and we have to work at reopening them, reconnecting them, you know, relinking them. Or
Yep.
even maybe you grew up in a family that had nothing like this, and it's all very new to you, you know. And maybe we'll leave that for
Yeah.
next week. We can make that
Yeah.
next week topic. You know, is the how we not only dull our energy, but that we're not becoming healers, but we remember and we're opening back up to that energy.
Yes.
And so remember, a healer is going to help you open up to your energy.
Yes.
Somebody who's not doing it for the right reasons is going to want to say, do, or create situations that keep you limited so that you are reliant on them.
Yes.
And not bad people, but maybe not somebody you necessarily need to go to every couple of days, kind of thing like that.
And if that's something that you wish to do, hey,
It
we're
is, but be careful with it. Is all I'm saying. Because I'm, again, with healing work, you can whatever. I'm speaking from my background now on medium work,
right.
where I've seen a lot of, excuse my language when I say this, guys, but I've seen a lot of the shit side of things with somebody who comes to me going, I went for a reading and my family doesn't love me. They don't want to talk to me. I've been to a reading and I've got my family member stuck. This person told me that this was, you know, and somebody even went to the church and the guy was like, it's evil. Your son is stuck. Like, this is another client, but like, and this person was genuinely like, oh my God, my child, you know, kind of thing like that. Like, you know, you got to get them out of purgatory, whatever, you know. And that, yeah, again, you can follow my page too, because I do
Yes.
a lot on death and dying more specifically. So I don't want to take the entire podcast just on the one topic. But what we're trying to say to people is, at least be open to it. And the reason I say this is, unless, like, talk to your loved ones every single day, 100% do that. Like, talk to them every day, but they might not have a big life altering message for you every day.
Right.
You know, same thing with healing work. Go
Yeah.
get a healing. Maybe you're going through a life crisis, a life shift, a release, a heal, something, transition. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't leave a bit of time to, you know, transition or allow that to integrate before you move on to the next thing. And all I'm saying is, and like Lou says, if you need to go to a healer all the time, cool, as long as it's benefiting you and it's your choice and you are not living with the belief that you cannot do it without the healer.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to get across. Like, if you have the
Yes.
belief I can't talk to my dad, mom without a medium,
Yeah.
I want to go careful. Like, that's a limiting belief, and it actually stops potentially you getting messages from your loved ones, because
Yes.
you're going to live in a fear-based belief pattern. And all
Yes.
I'm saying is, if you find somebody who knows that you have that belief, and unfortunately people want to make money from this, they will pry into other people's grief in order to be able to make money. And again, not bad people, but not my gelling. But in a case like that, if they know that, they will take advantage of that for you. And you'll
Yes.
see these healers are the ones that are going to go, oh, mom's got another message for you. They'll reach out to you. Oh, it's time for you to come for another reading. Time for you to. Nobody should ever reach out to you going, time for a healing. You should be calling them.
Yes.
Like,
And
red flag
yes.
number one, if somebody ever messaged me and was like, I got a message from your sister for you, I'd be like, no, if my sister had a message, she would have orchestrated it for me to come across you to find out that you have a message, kind of thing. Not you're going to solicit my business, kind of thing like that. So, you know, be a little bit just discerning with that. That's all I'm saying. And like, perfect example, you know, we don't really have them anymore, but I think they still maybe have them online now. But remember the 900 psychic numbers we had years ago?
Yes.
You know, the
Yes.
$3.99 a minute.
Yes.
Those ones were the ones where they had scripts, and unfortunately a lot of that was fake, so terrible. People cheated out of a lot of money. But those ones were the ones where they would keep you reliant, call back again, call back again, call back again, kind of thing like that, you know, because their whole thing was they wanted to keep you there. So that's all we're saying, is you don't come across it as often, but it's still potentially there. So just listen to your own inner voice. Remember, your angels, your family, your guides, your connection to God, Goddess, universe, whatever it is there to look after you. But sometimes you have to go, this is not the one to help me heal. Move on to somebody else. Because remember, we have a fear that if I don't go to this reader, I can't talk to mom. That's not the case. You just
No.
go, okay, where's the other reader? Where's the next reader then? Where's the, you know, kind of thing? Or if I can't go to this healer, I'm not going to get better. That's what we're trying to say. It's not about, you know, if I can't have this, I'm never going to heal. It's about what I'm saying this week is, be a little bit careful about the healer that's going to tell you you can't heal without them helping you.
Yes. Yes.
That's what we're giving a heads up and caution on. And it's
Yeah.
just where Lou and I do deal with so many people. We've had, I don't want to say horror stories, but there's been some pretty shitty things where we go, ah, oh, dude, like, and again, I don't want to shame people who are doing these things because unfortunately some of them still are doing the work, so whatever. But there are times when it gets very, for us, where we're like, oh, but again, we can't say anything about it, but we will say to the person, but if you feel there that you are not at peace, you are not serene after, you do not feel that you've had a connection, you feel even worse and you hate yourself, disconnect the reading.
Yeah.
Disregard the healing. It's not the end of the world for you to go, didn't work, next one.
Yeah. And clients, you know, and I give them responsibility. They're responsible, like I said before, for their well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So take responsibility on, you know, yes, you can seek out, you know, certain practitioners or medium or psychic, you know, but do your homework.
Yeah.
It's like for me looking for a hairdresser. Well, I might go to 2 or 3 hairdressers until I feel that I find the one that fits for me and gels for me.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be the same for, you know, for Peleki's type of work or for my type of work. Just don't pick the first one. And when I teach Reiki, I took, you know, I had the same teacher all the way through, and which fitted perfectly for
you.
me.
Yeah.
But I tell them, you know, you can do level 1 with me, you can go do level 2 with somebody else, level 3 with somebody else, you know. And the majority of the people, you know, will stick with me, and some of them will go and try other people.
But I do know as well for you, sorry to jump in, Lou, where you've actually had to tell people, I'm not going to teach you the next level until you've integrated this level.
Yes.
Because I do know there have been times where you've had to tell people and then they've gone off, done business with other people because they didn't want to wait. But that's, again, what you're looking for. If you're going to get somebody who's like, I will give you every single one, you just, without actually taking accountability for it. And that's what I'm saying, again, where I don't think a lot of people are necessarily doing it in a negative way, but you might get people who rush through their training and they're like, I'm certified now. I'm going to pop up, you know, set up shingle. Like I did an intuitive weekend. I'm going to do readings now. You know, that's what I'm telling people. I'm like, I don't think it's negative people. I think it is not trained people.
Yes.
You know, and that applies in any area,
anything,
business, any type of thing.
Hairdressers, estheticians, anybody.
Like same thing with the hairstylist, like Lou's saying, you look at the person, you look at their work, you see what other people think of them, then you go, oh, not going to work for me, next one, not going to work for me, kind of thing like that. But if you're going to go to a stylist that mucks up your hair and then blames your hair for the bad haircut, that's what we're saying. We go, honey, like, the person should take accountability. There should be a certain level there, you know, kind of thing. And I think with that, there's a big topic this week, so I think we'll keep it a little on the shorter end. So that people have time to sort of process. But definitely do tune in with us again next week, guys, because like we said, we'll try to do a bit more on the, you know, how family beliefs, and this is important, especially for religious backgrounds, depending on how you were raised, you know, can form guilt patterns that can block your intuition, that belief systems, things, experiences that you've had, things that you've been through. Because for a lot of people, when they are reopening up, it can be very lonely if you're not from a family pattern, and that's why they do seek the comfort of healers. But like I said, that's all we're saying. I go, there's nothing wrong with community-based. There's nothing wrong. Just, again, be a little discerning. And it's just because stuff came up this week that I told Lou that did upset me, where that particular person told this person that their family member was stuck in purgatory because they were grieving for them. That really upsets me. I do not agree with that. And again, I do my live question and answers on my Facebook page, Angel Messages by Paleki, where it's all just about death and dying, and I answer questions just solely on death and dying. So if you're interested in that, go there. Like Lou does shamanic stuff on her pages. So definitely do check it out, and we'll put all the links again below. And I believe when Lou edits it now, Lou's the fancy video editor for us, our social media pages are on the end of the video too that you can see. So anything, if you want to follow us or do, please do. And again, we are on Spotify and Podbean. And I think we're trying to get on some of the others as soon as they get us all set up for them.
And we have, and our YouTube, if you want to see our,
if you want to see this. If you want to see the beauty that is presenting, then yes, that is under Spiritual Medium Paleki, or you can find us under P-Lou on YouTube. All right,
Yes.
perfect. Well, I think we are good then for the day, Miss Lou.
Yes, P. That was good.
Beauty. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Again, we appreciate it, and we love that you keep tuning in for Pilu. Please do like and share the videos. Let your friends know about it so that we can pass on the teachings to as many people as possible. Oh, sorry.
And if you have any questions for any of the topics that we've
Yes.
discussed from episode 1 to now, please send us an email. Like I'm
yes.
at louise@farr.ca, and Paleki, you're...
I'm angelfeathers111@gmail.com, but you can reach us anywhere, guys. You can post a comment on the podcast. You can put comments on the YouTube, email us.
Yeah, I don't check that stuff. They have to they have to send
So
you
if
an
you send
email.
something, I'll keep watching that. But yes, so
I don't have time to check I can't even find the messages on Facebook, for God's sake. People connect, and I'm like, connect to me on my email address.
Yeah.
I check my emails all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Louise@Farr, the FARR.ca.
Beauty. So yeah, so you can reach us out anywhere, guys. But definitely, if you have any questions about, like Lou said, any other topics, anything that you think you might want to have as a future topic, something that might be of interest for you, you'd like us to discuss, definitely let us know. And if it's something we think that could be potentially a good topic to help a lot of people, then yes, definitely we would love to jump in and be able to offer that to everyone.
Please.
All right. Well, thank you again, my friends, for tuning in. We hope you have a lovely week, and we will see you here next week on Pilu. Take care. God bless.
Bye, P.
Bye, Lou. Love you. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.